Very good afternoon to all of you and a warm welcome on the YouTube channel of BYJU'S Exam Prep. I am Gaurav Gupta and we are basically conducting this series of sessions for all the students who are preparing for CAT in 2023 or maybe any other entrance examination for the management programs. So friends, welcome back once again. Previously we have seen some sessions that I've conducted for all of you for the basics of number systems, the classification of number systems, talking about fractions and decimals. In my previous session, I've covered logarithms. So those who remember all those things, welcome all of you today in the next session where I'll be talking about the basics of LCM and HCF and the properties which are related to it. So friends, welcome back once again on the YouTube channel of BYJU'S Exam Prep. I must tell all of you once again that this session will be useful for any student who is preparing for aptitude examinations. Now, number systems is the most important part, and the properties of LCM HCF will be asked, or it is definitely asked in every entrance examination which has aptitude, mathematical aptitude, quantitative aptitude, you call it by any name. If this is the part of that, then HCF LCM, this is definitely asked. All right. So friends, this is one very important chapter, and today we are going to take on the very basics of LCM HCF. I'll be telling you the ways of calculating LCM and HCF, the most easiest way of doing that. We'll be talking about some properties and then solving some questions. So, first of all, please, all of you quickly confirm if I'm clearly audible and visible to all of you. Sai, hello everyone. Okay, so I can already see some students joining in this session. So let's quickly begin with HCF and LCM, specially designed for all the students who are a little, I can say, weaker or below average when it comes to the properties of number systems. And this will help you in any aptitude examination, okay? And CAT 2023 or any other management entrance examinations. This is what our target is. All right. So let's begin with this. First of all, let me clarify about the agenda of this session. So we'll be starting with HCF and LCM. We'll be talking about what actually is HCF and LCM with their definitions a little bit. Then we'll be talking about all the properties which are related to these two things. And after that, we'll be solving some of the related questions which will clarify the concept that I would have taught you in a few minutes. All right. Okay. Now, starting with highest common factor, HCF. So, HCF का full form तो पता होगा, highest common factor. Now, let us break this definition. Let us break this definition in three parts. So, I'll start with factor. Okay. So, what are factors of a number, right? So, if I'll write any number, if I'll take any example of a number 20. So, what are the factors of 20? The factors of 20 are all those numbers which are less than or equal to 20 and that will completely divide 20. Okay, so the factors of 20 will be those numbers which will completely divide 20 और ऐसे वो वाले numbers जिनसे 20 completely divisible होगा. So I can say that 20 is completely divisible by 1. So 1 can divide every number. So 20 is completely divisible by 1 as well as 2, 4, 5, 10 and the number itself, that is 20. All right. So these are all the factors of a number. Likewise, if I write the factors of any other number, for instance, 24. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9 nahi hoga, 10, 11, 12 will be the factor and then finally 24. So these are the factors of 24. All those numbers which can completely divide a number are called the factors of that number. All right. Now I have taken two numbers 20 and 24 and I have written all the factors of these numbers. All right. Now let's go back to the to what we are talking about, highest common factor. So these are the factors. Now let's add one more term to this, common. Now, common factors. So I have written two numbers at the bottom of the screen. I have written all their factors. Now let us identify some of the common factors of these two numbers. Okay? So I'll quickly underline the common factors. So 1 is the common factor among these numbers, 2 is the common factor, 4 is the common factor, and that's it. So 1, 2, and 4 are the three common factors among these numbers, right? Now, among these common factors, like obviously there can be more than one common factors among two numbers. Okay, so among these common factors, now I'll be looking at the highest common factor. Okay, now generally lowest common factor nahi pucha jata. There is no relevance of lowest common factor because for any two numbers, the lowest common factor will always be 1. Fine. So since we know that the lowest common factor will always be 1, so hence there is no relevance for that. Okay, so that is why we are calculating highest common factor, which will give you the largest number, the highest number, the greatest number that will completely divide the given numbers. Okay, so among these three common factors that I have written, motivational video, no, will not be taking negative factors. No, negative factors will not be included here. Okay, so for 20 and 24, among three common factors that I have marked, I can see that 4 is the highest among these three numbers. So I can say that 4 is the highest common factor of 20 and 24. All right. So 4 is the highest number that will completely divide both these numbers. There is no other number which is greater than 4 which will completely divide both the numbers. All right. So this is how we calculate, or not how, but this is the relevance of, this is the basic definition of highest common factor, right? Okay, so understand one thing, that factors of a number will always be either less than or equal to the number. Fine, factor of a number cannot be greater than that number. So this is highest common factor. Now, in a similar manner, let's talk about what is least common multiple, LCM. Okay, so as you can see the definition of LCM, I'll not go by the definition first of all. So let us again break LCM in three parts the way we have done. So LCM, first of all, I'll start with M, that is the multiple. So multiples of a number. So again, वही दो numbers ले लेते हैं, 20 and 24. Okay. Now, one thing about the factors which we have done previously, one thing about the factors is any number will have limited or finite number of factors. Okay, so take any number, it will have finite number of factors, so you can write all the factors of a number. But this is not the case with multiples. Number of multiples of any number will be infinite. It will go up till infinite. Fine. So I cannot write all the multiples of 20 or 24, but I'll write a few multiples of these two numbers. Okay. So starting with 20, so 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140, 160. I'll try to write 11, 12 multiples, 180, 200, 220, 240, 260, and so on. Obviously, I cannot write all of them. Now, same thing I'll do it with 24. So 24, 48, 72, 96, 120, 144, and so on. ठीक है, और लिख देते हैं 24 के. So 144 के बाद 168, 192, then okay, I think enough है 192 तक. Okay, now if I'll try to find out, चलो एक दो और लिख देते हैं, 216, 240, 264, and so on. Fine. So these are all the multiples of, or some of the multiples of 24. Now my task is to find out the common multiples of these two numbers. So again, I'll highlight some of the common multiples. So among these two numbers, I can see that 120 is one of the common multiples, and then 240 is another common multiple, right? Okay. So 120 and 240, I can see two common multiples, but if I'll keep on writing the multiples of these two numbers, then we may also find some common multiples, right? Now, if I'll ask you what is the highest common multiple of these two numbers, obviously we cannot find it because the multiples will go up till infinity. So the highest common multiple of any two numbers cannot be determined. Fine. So we'll find out the lowest common multiple, least common multiple, LCM, which will be the smallest number that will be completely divisible by these two numbers. So among these multiples, 120 is the smallest number that is completely divisible by both 20 and 24. So hence I can say that 120 will be the LCM of 20 and 24. Okay. Now, this method that I have used to calculate LCM and HCF, this method I have used to so that you are able to completely understand how to basically find out LCM and HCF. But this is not, I can say, the best method of finding LCM and HCF. So let us have a look at the method of finding LCM and HCF. Okay. So the method that I generally teach my students is the factorization method. Beautiful method, बहुत simple method होता है, ठीक है? So first of all, I'll consider the numbers. Let's say the numbers again are 20 and 24. Okay, so for these two numbers, I have to find out LCM as well as HCF. Okay, so for the first number 20, I'll do its prime factorization. Now, what do we mean by prime factorization? Prime factorization means writing this number as the product of prime factors. तो जितने भी छोटे छोटे पार्ट्स में इसको ब्रेक कर सकते हो, ब्रेक कर दो. So I can write 20 as 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 5, which can further be written as 2 raised to the power 2 multiplied by 5 raised to the power 1. So this is the standard form in which you will have to convert your number. This is what I'm doing is I'm doing the prime factorization of this number. All right. The next number 24. So 24 can be written as 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 3. So that is 2 raised to the power 3 multiplied by 3 raised to the power 1. Okay. So what I have done up till now is I have done the prime factorization of these two numbers. Right. Now let us calculate LCM and HCF one by one. Now while calculating HCF, what you will do is among these numbers, first number and the second number, among these numbers have some bases with the powers. Okay, so just select all the bases which are common. So among these two numbers, जो common base है उसको select कर लो. So among these two numbers, I can see that 2 is the only common base. So first thing I've done is I've selected the common base. Okay, common base. Now raised to the power. अब power क्या raise होनी चाहिए? Common bases with their lowest powers. So common base that I've selected is 2. The lowest power of 2 among these two numbers is which one? It is 2 square. Okay, so the lowest power of 2 is 2 square, and this number 2 square, that is equal to 4, will become the highest common factor of these numbers. Don't worry, I'll be taking 2 or 3 more examples to clarify this particular thing. So first of all, for HCF, what we have done is we have taken the common bases among both the numbers with their lowest powers. So common base was 2 and the lowest power of 2 was the square power, right? Now similarly, LCM for these two numbers, how to find out LCM? So for LCM, we will consider all the bases which are present in these two numbers. Okay, so all bases with their highest powers. All right. So highest power consider करनी है और सारे के सारे bases consider करने हैं. So all bases. So in the first number the bases are 2 and 5. In the second number the bases are 2 and 3. I'll not repeat the bases. I'll write them only once. So I'll write all the bases 2 multiply 3 multiply by 5. So I've written all these bases one by one, right? With their highest powers. So the highest power of 2 among both the numbers is cube. The highest power of 3 among both the numbers is 1, and the highest power of 5 among both the numbers is 1 once again. Okay, so least common multiple of these two numbers is 2 cube multiplied by 3 multiplied by 5, which upon solving will come out to be 120 only. All right. So this is one of the best methods, one of the easiest methods, one of the most time-saving method when you are dealing with the bigger numbers. अब छोटे numbers हैं तो probably you will be able to find out the LCM and HCF orally as well. But when you are dealing with big numbers for which orally you can find out the LCM HCF, okay, so in those cases do the factorization and calculate the LCM and HCF the way I have told you. Okay, now let us consider some examples so that you will be able to fully understand this particular method. Okay, so I'll open next screen. So I'll erase all of it. And let's say the numbers are, so the first number n1, I'll give it to you in the prime factorized form. So it is always important to convert the number, to write the number in terms of prime factorization. Okay, this is the most important thing. Please don't forget to convert the numbers, to write the numbers in the prime factorized form. Okay, so let's say the first number is 2 raised to the power 5 multiplied by 3 raised to the power 4 multiplied by 7 raised to the power 2. And the second number is 2 raised to the power 3 multiplied by 3 raised to the power 6 multiplied by 5 raised to the power 2, or make it 5 raised to the power 3. Okay, so these are the numbers n1 and n2, right? Now for them, first of all, highest common factor. Now for highest common factor, what you need to do is you need to select the common bases with their lowest powers. Now common bases among these two numbers are 2 and 3, as you can see. And now let us select their lowest powers. So the lower power of 2 among these two numbers is the cubic power. Okay, and the lowest power of 3 among these two numbers is 4. So 2 cube multiplied by 3 raised to the power 4 will be the highest common factor of these two numbers. Okay, so common bases with their lowest powers. Now let's move towards LCM, finding LCM of these two numbers, least common multiple. Now for least common multiple, what we do, we'll select all the bases. We'll write all of them. So 2 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 7. Okay, so I have written all the bases one by one. Now selecting the highest powers of these bases. So highest power of 2 is 5. Highest power of 3 is 6. Then for 5, I have cubic power, and for 7, it's the square power. Okay, so this is how you will be finding LCM and HCF for the given set of numbers which are already converted in the prime factorized form. Okay, all right. So that is how we generally calculate LCM and HCF. Okay. Now, next thing is how to calculate LCM and HCF of fractions. बहुत सिंपल तरीका है, ठीक है? Now, a few important facts you must first of all understand and implement before you get into calculation of LCM and HCF of fractions. So, whatever fractions are given to you, first of all, convert all these fractions in the simplest form. Now, simplest form, simple. Cancel the common factors among the numerators and denominators. So if you have a fraction like 3 by 6, so 3 by 6, इसको simplify करके हम क्या लिख सकते हैं? We can write it as 1 by 2. So first of all the fractions which are into consideration, first of all, you need to convert all these fractions into their simplest form. Okay. Now, how to find the HCF of fractions? So HCF of fractions will be, consider all the numerators separately and the denominators separately. So HCF of fractions will be HCF of numerators divided by LCM of denominators. Okay, So whatever number of fractions are, there are 2 fractions or 3 fractions or 4 fractions, कितनी भी fractions हैं, first of all convert them in simplest form, then look at the numerators separately, all of them, and denominators separately. So to find out HCF, you will be finding HCF of numerators and divided by LCM of denominators. Okay. Now least common multiple, the next thing, LCM में उल्टा हो जाता है. So LCM में क्या करेंगे? It will be LCM of numerators divided by HCF of denominators. ओके. अब एलसीएम एचसीएफ कैसे कैलकुलेट करना है न्यूमरेटर और डिनोमिनेटर का, विच वी ऑलरेडी नो. सो एलसीएम एचसीएफ सिंपल नंबर्स का हमें फाइंड आउट करना आता है. दिस इज हाउ यू विल बी अप्लाइंग दिस मेथड टू फाइंड आउट द एलसीएम एंड एचसीएफ ऑफ फ्रैक्शंस. ठीक है. अगेन आई एम रिपीटिंग दिस वंस मोर. ऑल द फ्रैक्शंस शुड बी कन्वर्टेड इन सिंपलेस्ट फॉर्म. ये गड़बड़ करते हैं हम, सिंपलेस्ट फॉर्म में कन्वर्ट नहीं करते एंड आंसर गलत आ जाता है. Fine. So make sure that you convert all of them, all the fractions in their simplest form before going for HCF or LCM of these fractions. Right? Now let's move ahead and look at the next thing. The relation between HCF and LCM. Now the relation that I'm going to tell you among LCM and HCF can only be established when we are dealing with two numbers. So this is only when we are finding LCM and HCF of two numbers, this property will be useful. When you are dealing with three numbers or more than three numbers, it will not necessarily be true. Okay. So simple property है, LCM and HCF of the two numbers, the product of these two will be equal to the product of numbers. So HCF into LCM will be equal to the product of two numbers. Let's take an example. So we earlier have considered these two numbers 20 and 24. Their HCF was 4 and their LCM was 120. We have already done that earlier in this lecture. Okay. Now you can see that HCF of these two numbers is 4 multiplied by LCM of these two numbers is 120. Okay. Now 4 and 120 का product कितना होगा? It will be equal to 480. On the right hand side, you can look at the product of these two numbers. So the numbers were 20 and 24. So the product of 20 and 24 will again come out to be 480. So you can always say that whenever you are dealing with two numbers, then the product of numbers will be equal to the product of their HCF and LCM. Right? Okay. Fine. Now let's move and for the next few things, I'll be taking the reference of these two numbers only to prove certain things, right? Okay, let's move ahead and look at some of the properties which are related to LCM and HCF. Now, concepts are over. Now, based on these concepts, let us understand some of the properties. Now, the first property which is related to LCM is the LCM of two or more numbers cannot be less than any one of them. Now, this is obvious, I can say. Now, LCM deals with finding, first of all, the multiples of the numbers, right? Since we know that the multiples of any number will always be greater than or equal to the number. So, the least common multiple of any set of numbers cannot be less than any of them. So LCM of any set of numbers will always be greater than or equal to. I'll repeat, LCM of a set of numbers will always be greater than or equal to the larger or the largest of these numbers. So जो भी largest number होगा, LCM उसके equal हो सकता है या फिर उससे बड़ा होगा. It will not be less than that. Right? Fine. Now let's move on to the next property. The next property is the LCM of a set of numbers is always a multiple of HCF. So LCM will be a multiple of HCF, or you can say that HCF will be the factor of LCM. Let's see how. ऐसा कैसे होता है? हाँ, again बहुत basic चीज है. Okay, so let's say these are the numbers N1 and N2, right? Now what is HCF? The HCF of the numbers is the factor of numbers. Okay, highest common factor hai, so it's the factor of the numbers, right? Now what is LCM? LCM is basically the multiples of the numbers. So it's the largest, oh sorry, it's the least multiple. So it's a multiple. Fine. Now one simple thing is, if a number x, look at the top of the screen, x is factor of y, then I can reversibly say that y will be the multiple of x. So if x is a factor of y, then y will be the multiple of x, right? So HCF को consider करो. HCF is the factor of the numbers. So the numbers will be the multiples of HCF. So numbers जो है HCF के multiples हैं, and LCM is the multiple of these numbers. So if numbers are the multiples of HCF and LCM is the multiple of numbers, then I can say that LCM will be the multiple of highest common factor HCF. ठीक है? HCF for example 4 आया था हमारे previous numbers में. HCF was 4 and LCM was 120. So 4 was the factor. 4 was the factor of 20 and 24, and 120 was the multiple. So 4 will be the factor of 120 and reversibly 120 will be the multiple of 4. So हमेशा ये होगा, LCM will always be the multiple of HCF and HCF will be the factor of LCM. If it is not true, then the data that is given to you is incorrect. For example, if I tell you that for two natural numbers, HCF is 14 and LCM is 60. Simple. HCF में बोल रहा हूं 14 है, LCM 60 है. So you just check if 60 is the multiple of 14. क्या 60 14 का multiple है? Yes or no? Come on, tell me. Is 60 the multiple of 14? No, 60 is not the multiple of 14. So that means the data that I have given to you is incorrect. It is inconsistent. Galat data hai. Okay, fine. This is never possible for the numbers. Now let's move on towards the next property. LCM of co-prime numbers is always the product of the numbers only. Now what are co-prime numbers? Co-prime numbers are those numbers which does not have any common factor except one, right? Co-prime numbers are those numbers which does not have any common factor except one. Or we can say that their highest common factor is equal to 1. So such numbers are co-prime numbers. For example, 25 and 27. Now 25 or 27 दो numbers हैं. If you will look at the common factors among these two numbers, there is no common factor among these two numbers except 1. So 1 will become the highest common factor, right? Now using the property LCM multiplied by HCF will be equal to the product of numbers, right? ये वाली प्रॉपर्टी यूज करते हैं. Now what is LCM? LCM तो हमें फाइंड आउट करना है, ऐसे ही छोड़ देते हैं. HCF of these two numbers is 1 equal to the product of the numbers 25 into 27, right? So LCM multiplied by 1 is equal to 25 into 27. Now since HCF was 1, I can say that LCM will be equal to 25 into 27 and that is equal to the product of the numbers. Okay, fine. So this is one very important property that is useful for co-prime numbers. Okay, so if the numbers are co-prime, you may note down that if the numbers are co-prime, their highest common factor will always be 1 and their lowest common multiple LCM will always be equal to the product of these numbers. All right. One very important property, you can put a star on this. Now moving ahead and looking at the next property, HCF of two co-prime numbers is always 1, which I have already told you on the previous screen. So there is no need to further discuss on this property, right? Moving ahead, HCF is always the factor of the difference of the two numbers. So अभी हमने consider किए थे दो numbers 20 and 24. The difference of these two numbers is 4. So HCF will always be the factor of the difference. इन दोनों के difference का भी factor होगा. One very important property, बहुत ज्यादा यूज नहीं होती, but जहां पे भी यूज होती है, it is a very useful thing. ठीक है? So HCF हमेशा, HCF will always be the factor of the difference of the two numbers. Make a note of it. Okay? Right. So these are the properties of LCM and HCF. Now based on this, let us solve a few questions. चार पांच questions solve करते हैं so that your basics, your fundamentals will be clear based on these questions. Okay. So first question says that in a certain club, there are several lights. Okay. A green light flashes every 15 seconds and a red light flashes every 12 seconds. After how long will they flash together? Now the problem with these questions or problem with the concepts of LCM and HCF is हमें समझ में नहीं आता कि कब HCF अप्लाई करना है, कैलकुलेट करना है, कब LCM अप्लाई करना है. Okay, so first important thing is, first challenge that comes in front of us is HCF calculate करो या LCM, because in the question they will not tell you which thing you need to find. So you need to observe this question and then find out yourself what is being calculated or what needs to be calculated in these questions. Okay. Now going logically, green light flashes every 15 seconds. So green light every 15 seconds. So 15 seconds, अब इसके बाद कब flash करेगी? 30, then 45, then 60, 75, 90, and so on. Green light is flashing after every 15 seconds. Now, what are these numbers with respect to 15? These numbers are not the factors of 15. These numbers are the multiples of 15. Okay, I believe clarify हो गया. हमें क्या find out करना होगा? Let's do it for red light as well. So red light flashes every 12 seconds. So 12, 24, 36, and so on. Now we need to find out how long or after how long will they flash together. एक साथ कब flash करेंगी? तो एक साथ कब flash करेंगी? You have the numbers written in front of you. Okay. So the time which is the LCM of 12 and 15. So LCM of 12 and 15 will be the time after which both the lights will flash together. So 12 और 15 का LCM बहुत easy है calculate करना. Okay, so the LCM will come out to be 60. So after every 60 seconds, both the lights will flash together. Okay, fine. Now let's move on and look at the next question. Now the next question is like a very fundamental thing that you will find in a lot of questions which are based on number systems. Okay. Now, I'll not take all the three parts together. So first of all, just focus on this statement. Don't look at this portion. Don't look at this portion. Just focus on this statement. The statement says that a number n when divided by 4, so number n when divided by 4, the remainder is 2. The same number when divided by 5, again the remainder is 2. I'll leave the third number. I'll consider it later on. Okay. So नंबर को 4 से डिवाइड किया या फिर 5 से डिवाइड किया, the remainder that I'm getting is 2 in every case. Okay, remainder 2 आ रहा है. Now we have to find out the number, probably the smallest number, smallest 2-digit number of this type, smallest 3-digit number of this type. So there can be multiple possibilities of this number. Okay, so we just need to find out the generalized form of this number, right? Now if I'll say that number when divided by 4, the remainder is 0. The same number when divided by 5, again the remainder is 0. Look at the top of your screen, right? नंबर को 4 से डिवाइड किया, रिमाइंडर इज 0. दैट मींस नंबर इज कंप्लीटली डिविजिबल बाय 4 or the number is the multiple of 4. Similarly, I can say that the number is the multiple of 5. So I got to know that if the number is giving a 0 remainder when divided by 4 or 5, that means the number should be a multiple of both 4 and 5. Right? So I can say that it should be the common multiple. CM to ban gaya. Okay. Now, if the question is further asking you to find out the least number of this type, the smallest number of this type, so you can say that it will be the LCM of 4 and 5, and that comes out to be 20, right? So LCM of 4 and 5, that is 20, will be completely divisible by both 4 and 5, and this is the smallest such number. Okay. Now, since this is the smallest number, what will be the number after that? So number after that will be 40, 60, 80, and so on. That means the multiples of 20. Multiples of 20, we'll write it as 20k, where k is a natural number. Okay, so 20k, 20 multiplied by k, 20 into 1, 20 into 2, 20 into 3, 20 into 4, and so on. These will be the numbers. Okay, so 20 or general form is 20k is any number which is completely divisible by 4 and 5. Or I can say that it will leave a remainder of 0 when divided by 4 and 5. In our question, we need a remainder of 2. Okay, so if in the number that is obtained up there, I'll add 2. That means 20k plus 2. Then this will become the general form of the number that when divided by 4 and 5 gives the remainder as 2 in both the cases. Okay, so now you can easily do it for 6 as well. So number when divided by 6, the remainder is 2. So what you need to do is, you need to take the LCM of 4, 5 and 6, okay, and put a k in front of it plus 2. So LCM of 4, 5 and 6 kitna hota hai? Yes, anyone? LCM of 4, 5 and 6, I believe it is 60. All of you would agree. So 60k plus 2 will be the general form of this number. Okay, right? So 60k plus 2 is the general form of this number. Now, depending upon the value of k, you will keep obtaining the number. For example, if I'll put k as 1, 60 multiplied by 1 plus 2, the number will be 62. If I'll put k as 2, the number will be 122, then 182, then 242, and so on. You will keep on obtaining different numbers of this type. Okay, so now if we'll go back to the question, you need to find the smallest 2-digit number of this type, smallest 3-digit number of this type. So smallest 2-digit number kya ho jayega? It will be 62, right? Smallest 3-digit number will be 122. Likewise, you can obtain smallest 4-digit number of this type just by doing hidden trial by putting the values of k. Okay, so this is how you need to deal with these type of questions. Very simple question. Okay, now let's move ahead and look at the next form of a similar question. Now it says that number when divided by 3, the remainder is 1. Number when divided by 4, the remainder is 2. And the same number when divided by 5, the remainder is 3. Okay. Now in this case, the remainders are not common. So what you need to do is, you need to make the remainder common. अब remainder को common कैसे बनाएंगे? Simple task है. Okay. So either you can subtract the divisors from the remainder, or you can keep adding them. What I'll do is, I'll do the subtraction. So ये जो remainder है 1, look at the first case, number when divided by 3. Wait, I'll write it on the right hand side a little bit. So number when divided by 3, the remainder is 1. Okay. Now, here the divisor is 3 and the remainder is 1. So what you can do is you can subtract the divisor from the remainder. That means 1 minus 3. So 1 minus 3 कितना हो जाता है? Minus 2. Right? Now same do it for the second number. Number when divided by 4, the remainder is 2. So 2 minus 4, again it will give you minus 2. Number when divided by 5, the remainder is 3. Again 3 minus 5 is minus 2. In all the three cases, I have obtained minus 2, which will be considered as the common remainder. Okay, so the general form will become LCM of these three numbers. In तीनों numbers का LCM कितना है? It is once again 60. So 60 is the LCM, 60 into K plus the common remainder. Now in this case, the common remainder is a negative number. So 60K minus 2. 60K minus 2 will be the general form of this number. अब k को 1 put करते हैं, check करते हैं. So if I'll put k as 1, the number will come out to be 58. Now let's check. 58 when divided by 3, is the remainder 1? Yes, the remainder is 1. So 58 when divided by 3, I'm getting a remainder of 1. 58 when divided by 4, so 56 is completely divisible. 2 is the remainder. Yes, verified. 58 when divided by 5. Yes, 3 is the remainder. So I have cross-checked that 58 is the correct number. So 58 will be the smallest number of this type. Now by putting different values of k को 2 put किया, 118, then 178, 178 and so on will be the different values of the number. So according to what is being asked in the question, what is required in the question, you can substitute different values of k to obtain that particular number. Okay. All right. Now let's move ahead and look at something that is related to highest common factor. Now question is, find the largest number by which when this and this three numbers are divided. So these numbers are divided. So we have to find the largest number. Let's call it n, by which when this are divided. Okay. So अब हमें क्या करना है? n को इन numbers से divide करना है. And it gives the remainder of 3, 6 and 10 respectively. Largest number by which when this are divided, the remainder is 3, 6 and 10. So basically 187 when divided by n. अब यहाँ पे उल्टा है. Earlier n was getting divided by the numbers. Now here the numbers are getting divided by n. So 187 when divided by n, the remainder is 3. So 187 को अगर मैं n से डिवाइड कर रहा हूं, 3 रिमाइंडर आ रहा है. So 187 minus 3, that is 184, should be completely divisible by the number, right? है ना? So 187 when divided by n, the remainder is 3. That means 3 is the extra part. So if I remove this extra part from 187, if I remove this 3 from 187, the remaining portion 184 should be completely divisible by n, right? Next number 282 when divided by n, the remainder is 6. So 282 minus 6, yes, 282 minus 6, that is 276. So 276 again should be completely divisible by n. Likewise for the third, 378 when divided by n, the remainder is 10. So 378 minus 10, that is 368. This number should be completely divisible by n. So अब ये तीनों number n से completely divisible हैं. That means I can say that n should be the common factor of these numbers. Okay, Monkey Deliffy, thank you. And motivational video has also mentioned the same thing. Thank you. Okay, so n should be the common factors of these three numbers. ठीक है? अब मुझे क्या फाइंड आउट करना है? लार्जेस्ट वैल्यू ऑफ n फाइंड आउट करना है. तो ऑब्वियसली मैं लार्जेस्ट कॉमन फैक्टर या हाईएस्ट कॉमन फैक्टर फाइंड आउट करूंगा. सो जस्ट कैलकुलेट द हाईएस्ट कॉमन फैक्टर्स ऑफ 184, 276 एंड 368. आई हैव ऑलरेडी एक्सप्लेन्ड यू द मेथड कैसे फाइंड आउट करना है. ठीक है? सो 184 276 and 368. Just calculate the highest common factor of these numbers, and that will be the answer for this question. All right, fine. So these are some of the properties of LCM and HCF. So friends, that's all from my side for this day about the basic properties of LCM and HCF. There are plenty of things that you need to do as far as LCM and HCF is concerned. Okay, make sure that you revise this topic before you go ahead and look at the other things. Right? Now I'll be back with another session on the basics for all the students who are preparing for CAT 2023 and other management entrance examinations. And probably my next session will be based on divisibility rules. Okay, so that's all from my side. Some important piece of information for all the students. Now, Kanhaiya, you were asking about new batches. So yes, new batches are available. So you can enroll in any of the new batches. The details of the comprehensive program for CAT 2023, complete details are given on your screen. And you can call at the number that is mentioned at the bottom of the screen and join these newly available batches. All right. The next important thing is anyone who is planning to join any of these batches, you can get up to 90% scholarship on these CAT preparation programs. So there is a scholarship test that is being conducted on 18th of February at 7 p.m. So please do register for this scholarship test and avail up to 90% scholarship. How to get 99 percentile in CAT 2023? I'm sure most of you must be anxious for that. So today at 7 p.m., Srinivas sir is conducting a session that will help you in understanding or devising your test taking strategy to target, to get, to achieve maximum possible score in CAT 2023. So please do attend this session. Also, for all the students who are preparing for or who are planning to take on testnet 2023, so tomorrow onwards, that is 15th February onwards, daily at 8 p.m. will be helping you with a complete revision in 8 days for testnet 2023. So must join us for these sessions. Also, those who are preparing for MHCT MBA 2023 examination, all India Open Mock will be live up till 19th of February. So few days are left. Please do take this test and devise your strategy, know your strengths and weaknesses based on the analysis of this. So that's all from my side. You can get social on these platforms for BYJU'S Exam Prep. Thank you very much for being a part of this session. We'll see you once again. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.